before I cook that shit.
St. Louis, small children are back at their daycare in North St. Louis after 3 shootings happened nearby. The rash of violence close to Little Explorers Learning Center caused owners to shut down temporarily on Tuesday. The daycare is now open, but a bullet hole is left in the window from one of those shootings that happened Monday. 2 people had gotten into an argument near the daycare. The daycare's assistant director said they pulled the children down to the ground to keep them out of harm's way. The first Tuesday shooting happened around 7:15 a.m. near the 5300 block of Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. According to police, 31-year-old Trey Neal died at the hospital from his injuries. Just hours later at around 10:45 a.m. a 30-year-old man was shot and killed in the 5300 block of Ridge. The victim was later identified as Demetrius Witt. The shootings happened just blocks from one another. Police said they do not believe the shootings are related. After the second shooting Tuesday, the center called parents to let them know what was happening and asked them to pick up the children. Assistant Director Tawanda Brent said, "Fortunately, the children did not know what was going on during the acts of violence. They didn't know. It was like we were more worried than them," Brent said. "We are going to continue to keep doing what we do to work in our neighborhood and our community and try to keep our kids safe at all times." Meanwhile, St. Louis police had placed a camera with the city's real-time crime center right in front of the daycare to monitor the area. In more news, Lane Tech student wounded in crossfire during gunfight was shot by Des Plaines officer, CPD says. The 15-year-old Lane Tech sophomore was working as an intern at a music school. A bank robbery suspect ran into the school after crashing a stolen vehicle nearby. 15-year-old boy was wounded in the crossfire during an exchange of gunfire between police and a bank robbery suspect at a Northwest Side music shop Tuesday. Was shot by an officer from Des Plaines, Chicago police said. The Des Plaines officer was at the scene because the bank robbery had occurred in the northwest suburb earlier in the day. The Des Plaines officer's pursuit of the suspect into the music shop and ultimately opening fire was the right decision, despite the teen boy's injuries, CPD First Deputy spoke. Anthony Riccio said Wednesday. "They have every right to be there and pursue and to take him into custody," Riccio said. "And certainly, when he started firing at police officers, they had every right to return fire. There's no question in my mind that the Des Plaines officer acted properly." Riccio also told reporters the conditions of the boy, a student at Lane Tech High School, and a CPD officer wounded in the incident, have improved. In more news, Naperville Central student faces felony hate crime charges over racist Craigslist post. The AD featured a photo of an African-American student, accompanied by the caption "Slave for Sale, Naperville," and an offensive racial slur, prosecutors said. The boy is charged with 2 felony counts of hate crime for taking a photo of the victim at school on November 14 and using the photo on an AD posted to Craigslist, according to the DuPage County State's Attorney's Office. He is also facing a misdemeanor count of disorderly conduct. The AD was accompanied by the caption "Slave for Sale, Naperville," along with an offensive racial slur, prosecutors said. The allegations against the juvenile in this case are beyond disturbing, DuPage County State's Attorney Robert Berlin said in a statement. Hate crimes have no place in our society and will not be tolerated in Dutch County. Anyone, regardless of age, accused of such disgraceful actions will be charged accordingly. Students previously faced discipline from the school over the post. In a statement issued Monday, Naperville School District 203 officials said the high school took swift and appropriate action steps to address the situation and the students involved. As educators, we have a responsibility to ensure the safety and well-being of all students, especially those from marginalized and vulnerable student groups, district officials said. Racial discrimination and hateful acts are not acceptable. The district said it follows the principles of a restorative practice to address and repair harm, meaning school administrators and social workers are providing follow-up support for the students involved. These steps are critical to process since we firmly believe that this incident does not reflect the climate and culture of Naperville Central, officials said. The boy appeared in juvenile court Wednesday, and his next court date was scheduled for December 18th. The incident comes weeks after a group of customers walked out of the Naperville Buffalo Wild Wings after a manager told them another diner didn't like to sit near black people. In more news, she didn't want to leave us with a burden. Onset of dementia lead to murder, attempted suicide, son says. Fenton, Marjorie Thelman, thought she was making the best decision for her children when police say she fatally stabbed her disabled daughter Tuesday at a hotel before trying to kill herself. The 78-year-old believed she was in the early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's, the same disease that claimed her mother's life. And she didn't want her sons, Scott, 54, or Thomas, 47, to have to care for her or their disabled sister, Scott Thelman told the Post-Dispatch on Wednesday. Now, her son says, Marjorie Thelman is in a coma after police say she tried to suffocate herself with a plastic bag after she stabbed her daughter, Sharon Thelman, 51, to death. She had it in her head that she didn't want to leave us with a burden, Scott Thelman said. My brother and I were fine with the thought of taking care of an elderly parent or even an aging and deteriorating sibling. Tom and I had every intention of seeing both of them through their lives. The most difficult part about this is that my mother made this decision for us. We didn't have a say in this. We didn't get a vote. She thought this was best for us, and I don't think Tom or I agree with that. Her thought of what was best for us is contrary to what we think is best for us. St. Louis County Police were called at 12:34 p.m. to the Holiday Inn Express at 1848 Bowles Avenue after the mother and daughter didn't check out of the room. Once inside, police found Sharon Thelman dead and Marjorie Thelman nearly suffocated. Marjorie Thelman left a note for housekeepers that was intended to explain her actions as well as instruct them to call police, according to court documents. She is now facing 1 count of first-degree murder and 1 count of armed criminal action. She remains hospitalized with a $250,000 bail. Authorities said that Marjorie Thelman picked up her daughter from a group home where she has lived most of her life near Webster Groves and took her to the hotel. Scott Thelman said his mother owned the property where his sister lived, and that 2 other disabled women lived there with her and took full-time care from St. Louis Arc, a nonprofit that provides services to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We are heartbroken by the tragic loss of a longtime member of the St. Louis Arc family, the group's president and CEO, Mark Healy, said in a statement. Sharon Thelman has been a valued part of the art community dating back to the early 1990s. The circumstances surrounding yesterday's incident involve a domestic situation concerning the mother who has guardianship of her daughter. As such, the St. Louis Arc can offer no insight or comment other than to convey our deepest sympathy to Sharon's family. Scott Thelman said his sister was born with birth defects and mental retardation he believes was caused by cerebral palsy. She lived most of her adult life independent from her parents, although she and her mother talked every day by phone and got together every Tuesday. Pause. Current time 0 o'clock. / Duration time 0 o'clock. Stream type live. Loaded. 0%. Progress. 0%. 0 o'clock. Full screen. 0 o'clock. Mute. Through the years, Scott Thelman said, his mother was preparing him and his brother to care for their sister. She gave them notes and documents about the things Sharon liked. Sharon would like to talk a lot, her brother said. She had a fair vocabulary, but she was not very mobile and, over the years, she was less and less interested in conversation. Most of the talking was with my mom. They talked every day. They had a whole routine. They spent a lot of time together and had very set times and plans for interactions. Marjorie Thelman's husband died about 10 years ago. She was living in a retirement community about 5 minutes from her daughter's home, which was equipped to provide full-time care to its residents should they need it. The last time Scott Thelman saw his mother was Thanksgiving in 2018 when he came to St. Louis from his home in Dallas to visit. His brother, Thomas Thelman, lives in Kirkwood, and is too upset to talk to reporters, his brother said. She put on a good front when I'm in town, he said. But my mother watched her mother go through Alzheimer's, and ever since she died, she's done everything she can to test herself. She does exercises to avoid it, but she felt like she was getting worse and worse. Sharon Thelman was declining, too, her brother said. She was in a wheelchair full-time, and her legs didn't work anymore, Scott Thelman said. The note his mother left behind hinted that she had been planning the murder/suicide. She noted that Scott Thelman would be coming in for Thanksgiving, and that her other son was already taking time off work to tend to an injury. Her thought process is, she's doing this for us, Scott Thelman said. She didn't want us to have to miss work. What she did was horrible, but the thought process behind it will always be the confusing and frustrating part. Thank you for watching. We will be keeping a close eye on this story as it progresses. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel and tell us what you think about this in the comments section. No ill news.
Cook that shit.